Companies have core values, so why don't we? I am Sarah with Your Ideal Self, and I'm here to talk to you about core values. Just think of all the companies you know who have core values that you relate with, or maybe you don't, but they have a set of these values to try to get you to shop there, to like them, and all of the above. Take, for instance, Target. Their core values are great shopping, celebrating diversity, ethics at work, and community engagement. That's Target. And what about one of those big tech companies that you also may love, you may not, Apple? Their core values are accessibility, education, environment, diversity and inclusion, privacy, and supplier responsibility. That is Apple for you. And one last example of a company with very simple core values is ezCater. Lead, grow, play. And heck, we are talking about companies here. Okay, companies. They're not people, they are a group of people, but when you think about it, it doesn't make that much sense to me that a big company would have these core values and us humans don't. Some of us do, but it's not like a trend. In an alternate universe, I can imagine us humans talking about other humans and their core values. And, Susan over there, I love how honest she is. She is so ethical. She has great core values. Don't you agree, Sarah? Oh yes, great, darling. I do love her core values. They are so authentic. I love it. But those conversations don't happen, and here we are, creating our core values in a world where it's not completely popular yet. Core values in companies didn't even start being popular until like the 80s and the 90s, so this is a new thing for them too. But we all know the companies out there that do not follow their core values. You need to be different here. You can have core values that you can follow through on, and they can be consistent. All right? Now, the power of core values is that you can make your life so much easier in your decision making. Because if you have core values, then, you're going about your day, living your life, and of course, a decision comes up whether you spend time doing this over here or this over here. And if you have a core value that more aligns with this, then it gets further weight, and it is the thing that you choose here in this situation. For a couple examples, think about, for instance, a person who wants to value their family. They love their husband, they love their kid, but they don't prioritize them. If one of their core values that they thought about and they realized was family, then they are going to make that a priority. Whether that means they schedule family time in their day or their week, or they just know that when there are decisions of whether to spend time with family or to do anything else, they're going to more often choose family. Maybe not 100% of the time, but they are going to have that top of mind and know that that's something that's important to them, so they choose it. Or say that, for instance, you value honesty. And you're at work, for instance, and you are going about your day and you hear from someone that your boss lied to one of the people you're supervising. Now you want to make that right because your core value is honesty. So you make the easy decision to talk to your boss and say, hey, I heard you lied to one of my coworkers. Why is that? And you try to make it right. So it's not necessarily just the decisions you make for yourself, it's also the ones that you see and you make right around you. Because my channel is about becoming that person that you want to be. And there's a gap there, right? There's you and the person you want to be. And if you fill that gap with your values, your mission statement, all of this, you can become more content with yourself and the person that you are. And eventually, people will see that you are this person. You are always this person. You are consistent being this person, and they'll think more highly of you for it. Now, I would say that if you don't do this, people will notice, but I actually think it's the opposite. I think people will notice more if you are aligned to your core values as opposed to someone who's not. That's what makes the real difference here. Because you will see people go about their day and they're not completely aligned on what they believe in. And maybe that's a matter of time too, because you realize what you want to believe in, but you have to be intentional about your core values. For a quick example in terms of following core values and not, I, for the past few weeks, have been putting out work from home videos. Now, one of my core values is authenticity. And while I was being authentic about my thoughts about work from home, I don't really want to talk about work. I want to talk about your ideal self and how you can make that person that you want to be a reality no matter what is going on around you. All that external stuff, that work, that others' opinions, stereotypes, society, that is over there, in that corner over there, okay? So this video is about core values and developing your core values, but my next video is going to be on developing your mission statement, okay? Core value plus mission statement is a power pair. So let's get started on this first one, and then once I do have that mission statement video, that's going to be linked over here. So how do we go about developing our core values? So what I'm giving you today is a journaling exercise, and I do understand that some people don't like the idea of journaling so much. But just to take the pressure off you, just a smidgen, you can write bullet points. You can be really concise. You can just write half sentences and get your thoughts out there on paper. You don't have to be, long form pages of this stuff, all right? And we want to get all that stuff in our mind down on paper. The first prompt is about peak experiences. So I want you to recall a time or two or three where you experienced a very meaningful moment. You were on a high. You were so in the zone. You were enjoying what you were doing. You were at a peak experience. And as you reflect about that and what was happening and what you were doing, think about the core values that you were honoring at the time. Now, when you do this exercise, I do want you to put more as opposed to less, because later we're going to slim it down, but right now you are just listing what comes to mind. There's no filter here, guys. Okay? To make this even more real to you, I'm going to give you an example of something that I came up with when I did this. So the peak experience that I came up with when I did this was me writing and filming videos when I was like middle school, high school time with my grandma. Yes, amateur film writer right here. So I would film them with my grandma, I would video them, and then I would edit them on iMovie. So this is something that I loved. I actually less liked the writing part. I really liked the filming and then the editing part. But this was a peak experience that I came up with when I did this exercise. And there were 4 core values that I came up with. So the first 2 things I came up were creativity and childlike nature. Now, I didn't tell you what I was writing about, but it was about these 2 girls named Vanessa and Rubella, and they ran away from their parents' home. And they wrote them a note, and then they fled to run away. All right? And their parents went after them. The other 2 core values that came up here were continuous learning and perseverance. So I talked about the filming part of this scene, but like I said, the part that I really liked was the editing. And when I sat down with iMovie, I persevered. I was just figuring out the system. I didn't care that I didn't know what I was doing to start off with. And, to be honest, it's not the most difficult program to handle, but I persevered in this iMovie video that I was editing. I loved it. So this is where I got my other 2 core values from this example. And I also have another exercise that you can do to get out your core values. Now this one is not necessary, but it'll add even more value if you're trying to think of more things that you want to put down on your list. So the second prompt is your suppressed values. So think about a time where you were frustrated, angry, upset, and think about what was happening. What were you doing? And then answer the question, what values were being suppressed at this time? And when you think about the values that weren't being honored, then you know that that's something that you care about, because when it's inhibited from you, you notice and you want to make it right. So that is the second prompt for this one. So you've reflected about your experiences and you have this list of core values in front of you that you have just, made that list out. However many, 10, 15, 20, you get a lot of core values here. Now it's time to group them together and slim them down. So the second step of this is to do just that. I want you to combine the values that are similar, that are alike. So for instance, learning, growth, and development, those are very similar and can be grouped into one single category. If you like what I'm talking about, then I suggest that you subscribe, because you're probably gonna like my other content too. In the third step, it's very simple. Now, if you can imagine, you're gonna parse down your list. You're gonna take away the ones that are redundant. You're gonna take away the ones that aren't really as meaningful to you as other ones. Because in this parsing down process, what is the most key is that you are keeping the values that are the most essential to your being. The ones that resonate with you. The ones that you could not live without. The ones that speak to you and identify you as you. And if you're having some difficulty coming up with this list of core values and conjuring up core values, then I have attached a list of core values on a website that I found, so feel free to refer to those. But I recommend that you do so only if you get stuck, because the core values that you come up with should be ones that come from within and come from you conjuring them up yourself. So once you've done this, you're going to come up with a list of core values. Isn't that awesome? Now this list is one that you can change as you live your life and you realize that that one doesn't mean as much as it used to, or that you realized. You can tweak them a little bit. This is your life and you get to live it the way that you want to live it. And I do want to share with you my core values so you can know what I am all about. So first, authenticity. Introspection. Compassion. Optimism and childlike. Perseverance. And openness to learn, grow, and change. Now, I would love if you guys put your core values, the one that you came up, in the comments below. Now, these are personal. I mean, these are ones you identify with, that you feel close to, so I understand it is a personal thing. But just know that everything on my YouTube channel and everything related to me, it is a safe space, and you can put whatever you want, and I will give you the respect that you deserve as you think about the way you want to be. I mean, this is a big topic, an important topic. It's your life, it's you. So once you do come up with that core values list, you can solidify them even more with my core values meditation. So I will link it here. This meditation is one where once you have those values, you can visualize and act on those values to make them even more real to you. You are going to be even closer to becoming the person you want to be, to becoming your ideal self. I hope your day is as meaningful as you make it to be.